folks. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Actually, you know what? I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope you've had a fantastic week. Fridays are wonderful, but they're even better after a really good week. Then again, once in a while, we appreciate a Friday when we've had a hellacious week. I know this is a live stream, so I can talk about Friday and so forth, but you might be watching this after the fact. I hope you're doing fantastic. Hey, this is what we're talking about today. You know, the secret behind every business transaction. Here's the thing, guys. You know what I really enjoy? I enjoy a couple things. One is I enjoy language. And it is fascinating to me how we, and I don't mean you, I mean we, us, me too. I find it fascinating how oftentimes we come across words that we understand, and when they are used in a sentence, we understand them. And furthermore, we use them in sentences all the time. And yet, if we were pressed to come up with a definition, we would struggle. We're going to explore a couple of those words today. Words that you're very, very familiar with, and yet might struggle to define. The other thing that I really enjoy is looking at things that are stupidly obvious to us and seeing something new, exploring them in a new way. There's this old story, you've probably heard it before. Supposedly it's like this fable out of Africa or something or another. I don't know. It's apocryphal. But the story goes like this. There's these two young fish swimming along the lake, and this one old fish comes along and says, "Hey guys, how's the water?" and then takes off. And the two young fish look at each other and say, "What the hell's water?" I enjoy that because you and I have grown up from day one in a business transactional environment. You are the product of a business transaction. I'm telling you, you're the product of a business transaction. Your coming into this earth was a whole series of business transactions. And then from the first moment you breathed your first breath, you have been engaging in business transactions. And so you'd think we understand this stuff, right? We're going to have some fun today because there's actually much more to a business transaction than meets the eye. And that's what we're going to look at today. Here's how we're going to look at it. You see this here? Here, let's put it right there. That is an 1891 silver dollar. An 1891 silver dollar. By the way, do you know why they're called silver dollars? Because back in the day, they're made of silver. It's 95% silver and 5% copper, in case you're curious. So that kind of begs the question, 1891 silver dollar, how much is it worth? Well, in other words, what is its value? What is the value of this silver dollar? Well, it kind of depends on what kind of value we attribute to it and what the nature of the transaction may be. So, for example, if I took this to a grocery store down the street, hey, this is Friday, and Friday in the Schiffbauer household is pizza donut night. Pizza donut every Friday. So I'm going to go to the store later on and buy some donuts. So if I took this silver dollar over to the grocery store and tried to buy donuts, how much would it be worth? Well, folks, it's called a dollar. It's a silver dollar. So it's worth $1. If I tried to transact it, it would be worth $1. It's still legal tender. It's completely legal U.S. tender and so forth. So buying donuts, it's worth $1. Okay. All right. But now, that seems weird. It's an 1891 silver dollar. What if I say, and by the way, $1 isn't bad. Check this out. If I were in France and I tried to buy a baguette with it, it would be worthless. It's not legal tender in France. They would look at it and they'd kick me out of the boulangerie. I can't say bakery in French as well as I used to be able to, okay? So, check this out. If I go to a grocery store in the US, it's worth $1. If I go to a grocery store in France, it's worthless. But now this is an 1891 silver dollar. Surely it's worth more than that. Well, to a collector, hey, Dixie, to a collector, this is actually worth a fair amount. Maybe it's worth, somewhere like $90. $90 to a collector. It's not mint, right? It's been in circulation. So now we've gone from $0 in France, $1 in the US, and the $90 to a collector. If I were to melt it down and just sell the silver, it's worth about $70. There's about $70 worth of silver in this. Okay. But now here's the deal. I can, in full honesty, say that there is no amount of money that somebody would be willing to pay for which I would be willing to part with this. I will never sell this. Now you might say, somebody offered you $1 million. No, nobody's willing to pay $1 million for it, okay? Even if they offered $10,000, I wouldn't sell it, and it's not worth that by any measure. So now, why, hey Nash, why is it that I wouldn't part with this? Because let me tell you the story of this silver dollar. My father earned this dollar doing yard work or something when he was a kid. All right, did some yard work. They gave him a silver dollar and so forth. And my father kept this silver dollar his whole life. Hey, Leslie. Oh, we have Valerie too. Fantastic. Oh, and Christy. So he kept this silver dollar his whole life. In fact, he had it in his wallet forever. It was his good luck charm. And there were a couple of times, folks, yeah, Christina, you know it's sentimental. There were a couple of times where he had to spend this dollar. He had to spend it, okay? And he always got it back. It was like the universe said, this is yours. You are to have this your whole life. And I even remember when I was a kid, you know how kids are. I'd sneak into his wallet every once in a while and I would pull it out and look at it, and it was really cool, and so on and so forth. This is a Schiffbauer artifact in the history of my father. All right, well, my father, year or so back, he decided he was going to hike the Colorado Trail from like Denver to Durango. It's like 500, 600 miles or something. And so he decided he was going to hike it. He wasn't in the best of health, but he's not the sort of person to let that stand in the way from that sort of thing. But now you have to understand, my father has always said his whole life, and I'm not just making this crap up, people. This is for real. He always said, one day they're just going to find my body in a tent. There was no way he would ever go to an old folks home. I won't bore you with the whole story of my father and so on and so forth, but he was an outdoorsman. He was never going to go to a retirement home. He always said, one of these days they're going to find my body in a tent. Well, one day in July, out on the Colorado Trail, somebody found his body in a tent. So my wife and I, we drive out to Leadville, Colorado. That was the closest city to where he was found. And we pick up his things. You know, it was his wallet and that's it, right? Inside his wallet was this silver dollar. Even hiking the Colorado Trail, he took this with him. There were only a few things he had with him, and this was one of only a few things. So this, to me, is priceless. This is a priceless artifact. So check this out, people. The value of that silver dollar is totally contingent on the perception that somebody puts into it and how it can be transacted. If we transact it in France, it's worthless. If we transact it at a grocery store here in the US, it's worth $1. If I melt it down and sell the metal, it's worth $70. If I sell it to a collector, it's worth $90. And to me, it is priceless. So as it says here, value is the perception of potential benefit, whether tangible, such as money, property, assets, things like that, or intangible, such as knowledge, time, social connections, reputation. For anybody else, this dollar has tangible potential benefit in how it can be transacted. For me, it has, as Christina says, sentimental transactional value, which means it will be transacted. It will be transacted to my family. It is a Schiffbauer artifact. It will be handed down, and eventually somebody somewhere will sell it. But I'll be dead. I won't care, right? So as Christina says here, value is really, really, really relative, okay? It is completely up to the individual on how much it is worth, okay? Everything, every single thing. Value is not intrinsic to the item, okay? When I say intrinsic, I mean it is not a built-in characteristic of the item. Value is a property of how somebody perceives they can benefit from the item. Benefit from the item, hold on to that thought. Furthermore, value is like uber fluid, people. Really fluid. Something can change in value in an absolute moment. So, for example, you see the graphic here, right? The graphic. When you order something on Amazon, it comes in a box. Okay, box, whatever. That box has value because it allowed the shipper to ship the item safely. It allowed you to receive it. It allowed people to put a sticker on it with your address and tracking number and everything. That box actually provided a lot of value to you. You don't really think about it as value, but, it provided a lot of value. It enabled the shipper to get it to you safely, quickly, efficiently. All right. You open the box, you take out whatever it is you ordered. Now that box, not only is it worthless, it might be a pain in the ass to you now. When you have this box and you're like, oh, it's such a good box, I don't want to throw it away. And so you store it somewhere. Now it's taking up space. All right. Now it's taking up space. And so it is costing you a valuable asset, space in your home, in order to keep something that you may or may not use. Let's say it's a really beat up box, so it has no value. It's not even worth keeping. You have to pay the city to take it away. And what do I mean by that? You take this box and you throw it out into the garbage or the recycling. Yeah, right, Trisha? This is totally the box dilemma. I have so many boxes. I'm with you. You put it in the trash. Whether you realize it or not, you pay the city to pick up your trash. And so now something that used to provide value and you paid for in an instant becomes something that you pay somebody else to take off your hands. Okay? Valerie says, my cat thinks all boxes, her boxes are valuable. Isn't that hilarious how cats are like that? So I want you to, to me, this is really cool. Okay, but now remember, I said that value is very often kind of calculated by its transactional value, okay? Its potential benefit. So value is created through the transaction of perceived value. Now, let me show you what I mean. If any of you are in Business 1050, you know from there, don't worry, if you're not in Business 1050, none of this, it'll still matter, okay? We do this reading where we talk about Sumerians making pottery and nomads hauling stuff about all of Samaria and all that sort of stuff, okay? So let me show you what we're talking about here. All right, let's first say that we're Sumerians. We're Sumerians. We are a stationary people. We are a stationary folk. And so we are in one place, we always stay there. Okay. Now, since we are stationary, that allows us to do things like build kilns. You can't haul kilns around and everything. Hey, Animal Kingdom. Oh my gosh, that was the best show in the world when I was growing up. Anyway, I transgress. So we build these kilns and then we live on, well, it's called the ground. And you know what else is in the ground? Clay. How much clay? Lots and lots of clay. We have so much clay. And so we take this clay and we make pottery. But you know what? You only need so much pottery, right? But we have all this clay. And so we keep making pottery. Now, the first few potters, the pots and so forth that we make, they have a lot of value to us because we can use them. The value is in the benefit we get from it. So we can store water, store grain, cook in it, do all kinds of things with it, right? Spin the bottle. We can do all kinds of valuable things with our pottery. But at a certain point, we don't need any more. And so anything more we make has no value. And in fact, is taking up valuable space. Okay, so those are the Sumerians. Well, now you got the nomads. And the nomads, they're wandering around. And let's say they come from this beach area and so forth. What do you do when you're on the beach? You collect seashells. And, as a kid, I grew up in California. I'd collect these seashells. Every time I went to the beach, I would just pick up seashell after seashell after seashell. My sister Sally sells seashells on the seashore. And I would have all these things, and I'd take them home, and my parents would be like, oh my gosh, she's brought home more seashells. What are we going to do with all these things? I thought they were pretty cool, but they're like, these are just getting all over the place, and I step on them in the middle of the night, and I use what my daughter calls magic words. So they're worthless. But now check this out. The nomads go and visit the Sumerians, and they say, hey, we have all these seashells. And the Sumerians go, oh my gosh, that is so cool. You know what we could do with those things? We could grind them up and make them into a glaze and make our ugly ass pottery really, really, really beautiful. And we could protect it and we can make it ornate and so forth. I kind of want those seashells. And at the same time, the nomads are looking at all these vases and so forth and going, oh my gosh, do you know what we could do with all those? We could carry more product. We could expand our trade routes. We could go places where in the past we couldn't go because we couldn't carry enough supplies and so forth. So what's happening here is that two people have something that in isolation from each other is worthless. In isolation, the seashells are worthless to the nomads, and in isolation, the Sumerians, their pottery is worthless. But they both see benefit that can be derived from using the other person's thing. And so all they do is trade. All they do is trade. And in trading, value is magically created. I get that I'm geeking out here. I totally get it. But that's freaking magic. Value is created through transaction because we both have a perceived benefit, and that benefit can benefit us. The nomads can increase their trade routes, make more money. The Sumerians can make cooler pottery, make more money. That's amazing. And so every single time you engage in a transaction, you need to think, is the benefit of what I am getting greater than the benefit of using this thing that I have? And that's how value is created. Okay, so with that, right? Remember, they just traded stuff. There was no money involved. Now, the thing about barter is we often look at barter as, oh, that's an old world thing that we used to do, okay? And we don't barter anymore. I mean, that's just, I'm gonna check this out. That's just an old world thing. Today we use money. No. The vast majority of the products and services you enjoy have been a result of barter. Okay, let me repeat that. You live a pretty sweet lifestyle. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. And the barter system in Utah is amazing. So the vast majority of the life you enjoy has been a result of barter. Let me show you what I mean. Let's come back over here. Let's come over here. So you probably have a Gmail account. At the very least, you can Google anything you want, and you might use a Google Drive, you might use Chrome, you might be on Instagram, you probably use Google Maps. Right now, you are using YouTube, and maybe you're on TikTok and so forth. How much do you pay for these things? Now, before you say, you're going to say zero if you think in terms of money. You don't put money down on the barrelhead, as us old folks say, to get these services. But you pay for them. You pay for them through barter. Nash says, by the way, real quick, I really like to go over on bartending in our modern world. The examples were very useful and eye-opening. Easy to forget that this is not just an old-timey thing. So bartering, yeah, it was autocorrect for you, Nash. Yeah, bartering. Let me show you what Nash is talking about here, folks, right? So you have four currencies. Four. Yeah, bartering. I got you, Nash. Four. You have four currencies when it comes to bartering. One of them is your attention. Okay? You barter with your intention. I don't know if you know it. A Zen koan, by the way, is a kind of a Zen Buddhist riddle that has no answer. Kind of like, what is the sound of a tree falling when no one's there to hear it, or, that sort of thing. So I say here, if my video is never viewed, does it even exist? Right now, at this moment, right now, you are bartering with your attention. Okay, so you are giving me, in YouTube, you are giving me your attention. And that's valuable stuff, people. You only have so much attention, and you're giving it to me. So, by the way, your awesomeness personified. Now, what do you get in return? Well, that's up to you, because only you can determine what kind of value you get out of this, right? Christina says you want knowledge. Some folks are like, I want the insight. Some folks are like, I'm here for the extra credit, man. Totally cool. Virtual fist bump. I get it, right? Yeah, Ethan, you totally barter with your time. And this is like insanely valuable right now. Ethan knows. I was talking the other day and I was saying, back in the old days when I was your age, there were only three TV channels: ABC, NBC, CBS. And so if somebody wanted to advertise, it was pretty clear where you go. You go to TV and that's it. You just put an ad on all three networks and you're good to go. Today, where do advertisers go? There's only a bazillion various forms of channels out there. And so advertisers are having to get really creative with Instagram influencers and TikTok and so on and so forth to figure out how to get your attention. Your attention is absolutely a currency you use to barter with which to barter. Okay. Next thing that you use in bartering is your data. All right, your data. There's a quote here. It was said by one of the Apple CEOs, but I think somebody said it before him, so I don't put an attribution here. When an online service is free, you're not the customer, you're the product. This is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. This is not a conversation about privacy. That's a different topic. Right now, we are just talking about using your data as a bartering tool. You would be shocked and astonished and amazed and perhaps even terrified if you understood how much of your data is aggregated from your online world and so on and so forth. There's a reason why anytime you do a Google search on something, you start seeing ads for it 13 seconds later. It's astonishing. So we are always giving of our data to get free services in return. Google, Google Maps, and Instagram, blah, 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 blah. They're all selling our data. And we do this because I'm kind of like, okay, all right, everybody, I'm telling the world my name is Lon Schiffbauer. I was born 11/22/1965, and my wife's name is Susan. There, I just shared some personal data. And whatever, it's fine, I don't care. But to a company that sells data, they're all going, ooh, that's good, spicy stuff. I can use that. Okay, so you barter with data. You also barter with content, okay? Now, have you ever left a review in Yelp, TripAdvisor, or Rate My Professors? Okay, you are doing it right now in chat. So all you wonderful people, Christina and Trisha and Valerie and Animal Kingdom and Nash and Ethan and so forth, you have been providing content. Right there. I'm pointing at the chat. Okay, you've been providing content. That has value to YouTube and ultimately to me. Because as I get views and as I get engagement, likes, and the hearts, I've been seeing the hearts, that's content. Every time you leave a heart, you've just left content. and comments, these things reflect well on my channel, and the almighty YouTube algorithms, thank you, I just saw some hearts, will then move my videos up. So you are right now providing content, and I'm benefiting from it. Okay, and YouTube is, and so on and so forth. If you ever left Rate My Professors, think about it. You're out there providing a customer review. Any review you've left, any review you have left, okay? You leave a review, somebody else is monetizing that review. This is how the system works, especially in online and so forth. Right now, there's a big thing going on with AI. So, as you know, with generative AI, these large language models, the AI will go into all these content systems and scrub the systems to, learn stuff and so forth. And so there's a lot of creators out there, whether they're authors or artists or even YouTube creators, who are saying, hold on, wait. You are training your large language model on my content, and I'm not being compensated or credited or even asked, right? So this is where companies, AI companies, are making buku bucks. We're talking billions of dollars off of other people's content, perhaps not with remuneration, pay, right? So this is big time currency, people. Big time currency. Now, here's the fourth one. Before I go to the fourth one, I want to ask you a question. Let's say that you're one of my younger viewers. Let's say you're 18, 19, 20 years old. You have only earned in your lifetime, if you're 18, 19, or 20, you've only earned in your lifetime maybe $30,000 or $40,000. Okay? You've earned $40,000 in your lifetime in general. Okay. All right. But now it cost $250,000 to raise you from birth to 18, just say, or 20, right? It cost your parents $250,000 to keep you alive from birth to age 20, and you contributed very little. Or did you? Maybe you contributed an awful lot, because your fourth currency, Sean, yeah, we're all grateful to our parents, right? Even when our parents are jackasses every once in a while. Again, just real quick, Sean. By the way, Penna says that time is the most valuable. I'm with you. Just as a quick side, Sean, I had a rough relationship with my father. And then much later, I realized, hold on, wait, my father pretty much raised my brother and I when he was in his 30s. I don't know that I could have kept a plant alive when I was in my 30s. And here he is trying to work and raise two boys. I realized he had, I admired him much more when I thought about that. Anyway, your association is a currency you use with which to barter, okay? From the day you were born, you survived and thrived and so on and so forth, as I just mentioned. Your association, let's just talk about with your parents. How do your parents benefit from you? How do you pay them? Well, first of all, they receive your love and adoration to some degree or another. Love and respect and adoration is freaking gold in the bank, people. I don't know that any of us truly recognize the human need we all have for recognition. And this isn't me begging or anything, but when I see comments and when I see that I have viewers right now and when I see the hearts, I get little dopamine hits because that recognition is really valuable to me. It's valuable to all of it, especially parents who work their asses off and don't know what the hell they're doing and are just like, I'm trying my best, man. I don't know. I'll try to keep you alive and healthy and thriving, right? So, yeah, and how to live. Leslie, that's really good. I think there's a moment when we realize our parents are human and trying to figure out how to live too. So, Leslie, just to support what you've just said there, I've either got good news or bad news for all of my younger viewers. It's either good or bad news to tell you, you never figure it out. You never figure it out. I'm going to turn 59 here in, I don't know, a month or two. I haven't figured it out. You never figure it out. Okay, so let's come back to this. Carrying on a family name or legacy, okay? This is actually really important to a lot of families. Carry on the family name or, hand down a family business, genealogy and ancestry and so on and so forth is very valuable to a lot of families. So to have a progeny that carries on, with the family whatever, that's bartering, all right? Hey, your parents actually enjoy your company. It's kind of a built-in friend almost, right? Okay, so my daughter, she's married, moved out, and so on and so forth, but she likes to do a lot of her virtual classes, her online classes like this, from our place because, she just likes to have company and blah, 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 blah. Okay. I like seeing her. I like it when she comes by. It's kind of fun, right? I like seeing my sons in the evening and so forth. So your company is form of bartering. But now here's my favorite one, guys. The one at the very bottom there. They enjoy the bragging rights and prestige that come with your accomplishments. So let me tell you what that means. Just any of you, if you ever participated in sports like soccer or baseball or football, or if you were into dance or cheer or drill or swim, or if you were in piano lessons, horse riding lessons, anything like that, anything that your parents paid for and drove you around to, right? Just tell me. You want to know what your parents were doing on the sidelines when you were out there playing soccer or dancing or doing whatever? Your parents were saying things like this. Oh my gosh, I had to spend $400 on that uniform last month, and next week we have to travel to Las Vegas for a state competition, and then I have to do all this and this and this. Now, they sound like they're complaining. They're not. They're bragging, okay? When their kids are off doing these extracurricular things, that is what I call parental bling. The way that our society, and if you're here in Utah, it's especially here in Utah, the way that our society judges, evaluates your worth as a parent is how many extracurricular things you can pay for and afford the time to invest in for your kids. And so, yeah, you've given them bragging rights. Wrestling, Fernando, yes, that's an excellent example. Wrestling, okay? So, and by the way, if you're in college right now or if you're starting your career, they're bragging about that too because they think you're pretty awesome for doing what you're doing. And so, yeah, you're bartering with them. That's why they invested $250,000 in you to keep you around because you provide a lot of value. All right. So just a thought real quick. Barter has served you well thus far. And this is with you hardly realizing what was happening. Imagine how you might leverage this barter economy if you did so deliberately. So give some thought to that. Give some thought to all these 4 forms of currency that apparently are pretty darn valuable. How can I leverage that? Now, before we wrap up, I want to tie this over to wealth. I told you earlier that we're going to explore a couple words that you think you know, but if you had to define, might be pressed to. Value was one of them. Wealth is another. Wealth is the accumulation of valued resources, both tangible, such as money, property, or assets, and intangible, such as knowledge, time, and experiences. I strongly advise that in your career, as you work in school, as you start your careers, as you start to work your way up and so forth, that you take the time to really understand what wealth means to you, because everybody out there, especially employers and so on and so forth, they're going to try to convince you, and society, employers, society, social pressures, parents, friends, you name it, they are all going to try to persuade you that wealth means this, 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 or this. You need to understand what wealth means for you. Let me provide you an example to end on. So I used to work for Intel Corporation. They made the chips and CPUs, and they're on their way to going out of business. Oh, it breaks my heart. Anyway, I used to work for Intel. I made substantially more money while working at Intel than I do as a professor at Salt Lake Community College. So that's a step down, right? Not even close. Because money is not my wealth. What's my wealth? Time, autonomy, the ability to explore fun ideas, and to create. I can do all those things at Salt Lake Community College far more than I could at Intel. And so even though my paycheck is less, I consider myself infinitely more wealthy. I consider myself so wealthy, in fact, with time and autonomy and ability to create and to explore and study and research. I consider myself so wealthy that sometimes I feel guilty. I still have friends who work in the tech corporate sector, and they're dying a slow, painful death. Now, they get great paychecks, but they're dying a slow, painful death. And when I have lunch with them and so forth, I kind of feel a little guilty that, I've got it so good. I am wealthy. So, just food for thought. Learn what wealth means to you. And I want to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. They really, once again, it's a great kind of visibility to the impact and effect I have, and it just means an awful lot. So Cameron, Trish, Chelsea, Moving Death, and Leilani. Moving Death, by the way. I still can't get over how cool of a name that is. I'm sorry I didn't think of it first. And so, folks, I always shoot for 45 minutes, or 30 to 45 minutes, and we just hit 45. So thank you very much for joining today. I have a lot of fun doing this. This is something that makes this job so exciting and exhilarating for me. And your contributions are just a drug to me. So I truly appreciate it. Valerie says, by the way, wealth can be a mindset. It is so true. Valerie, take that, write it down, laminate it, put it in your purse or wallet or whatever. Wealth is a mindset. You are so right. Everybody, you should do that. Hey, thank you for Ratashfam. I can't pronounce that. I need to learn to pronounce that. I will. Hey, thank you, Sean. I really appreciate all of your support. I hope you have a great weekend coming up. Trista. I said Trisha before. I'm sorry. My mother's name is Trisha. So when I see it, I just think Trisha. Trista, thank you too. And Leslie and Valerie, we will see you later. Have a great weekend, all of you. You've earned it. If you're in school right now, you've made it through 3 weeks and now you're starting to hyperventilate at what it all means. Take a breather. So absolutely. And if you have any comments or questions or anything you want to follow up on, here or send me an email, let me know. And by the way, any of you who are in my classes, send me an email. I'll get you a little extra credit. You know how it is. This is a barter economy. I provide content. You provide your attention. I provide extra credit. Hey, not a bad trade, right? I'm going to hang out here a little bit to see if anybody has any questions or comments, but otherwise we are all set. Keep learning. Be curious and keep learning. I need to get more shirts like this. All right. Well, I don't see anything else coming up, and I think folks are dropping off. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and peace out, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good one.